The janitor everyone called Mr. Harris rarely spoke more than a few words at a time. Every morning, before the first rays of sun hit the Navy SEAL training compound in Coronado, he was already there, mop in hand, earbuds in, humming old blues songs as he wiped down the locker room floors. To most recruits, he was just part of the background noise, the quiet man with a faded uniform shirt, a slight limp, and the kind of calm that made him seem invisible. But that morning, one recruit noticed something that changed how everyone saw him. It was barely 0500 when the new batch of trainees shuffled in, groggy and sore from another night of hell. The gym reeked of sweat and metal polish. Harris was mopping under the weight racks when a dumbbell slipped from one recruit's hand and clanged against the floor. The young man, wide-eyed and nervous, bent to grab it, and froze. There, just above Harris' collar, where his shirt had loosened from the movement, was a tattoo. It wasn't some random designer biker ink. It was an insignia, one the recruit had only seen in classified briefings, a trident crossed with a dagger, the mark of the most elite SEAL unit that officially didn't exist. "Sir, Mr. Harris, where'd you get that tattoo?" the recruit blurted out before he could stop himself. The mop stopped mid-swipe. For a second, the only sound in the gym was the slow drip of water from the mop head onto the concrete. Harris turned his head just slightly, just enough for the recruit to see the edge of a cold, knowing smile. "Long story, kid," he said, voice deep, smooth as gravel. Then he went back to mopping like nothing had happened. But the recruit couldn't stop staring. Neither could the others once word spread. By the time morning drills started, whispers were flying through the compound. Some said Harris used to be a SEAL himself. Others claimed he was part of a classified unit that even instructors weren't supposed to talk about. The official records said he was a civilian contractor, janitorial staff, nothing more. But no one could explain the way Commander Blake, one of the toughest men on base, always nodded respectfully at him when he passed. That afternoon, the recruits were ordered outside for live fire drills. The sun beat down mercilessly, and tempers ran high. The same young recruit who'd noticed the tattoo was struggling with his weapon disassembly. Frustration built until he slammed the rifle down. That's when a quiet voice behind him said, "You're forcing it. Breathe, let the machine work with you, not against you." The recruit turned to see Harris standing there, holding a rag and a bucket. I didn't mean to," the recruit stammered. Harris reached out, picked up the rifle with a familiarity that sent chills down the young man's spine. His hands moved like they remembered every groove and screw. In under 10 seconds, the weapon was cleanly stripped and reassembled. He handed it back without a word. The drill instructor saw the whole thing. His eyes narrowed. "Harris, since when do janitors give my recruits pointers?" Harris didn't flinch. Since the recruit was about to jam a live weapon and lose a finger, "Sir," he replied evenly. The instructor opened his mouth to bark back, but then hesitated. There was something in Harris' tone, something that carried weight. The kind of authority that couldn't be faked. He said nothing more and walked off. By evening, the story had spread like wildfire. Recruits started calling him, Ghost. Nobody knew exactly why. Maybe because he seemed to appear and disappear without sound, or maybe because everyone started to suspect he wasn't supposed to be there at all. A week later, the mystery deepened. During a simulated hostage rescue, one of the training drones malfunctioned, trapping a recruit inside a burning obstacle hut. Instructors scrambled, shouting for extinguishers, trying to shut the system down, but the fire was growing too fast. Before anyone could react, Harris was already moving. He sprinted straight through the smoke, low and precise, covering his mouth with his sleeve. In under 30 seconds, he had the hatch open and the recruit dragged to safety. Not a single burn on him. When medics arrived, Harris quietly stepped back, waved off the questions, and went right back to cleaning the hallway outside the infirmary like nothing had happened. But the recruits had seen the way he moved, fluid, tactical, deliberate. The way he'd checked his angles, the way he'd shielded the recruit from debris. That wasn't janitor training, that was muscle memory, the kind only years of combat could give. Later that night, the recruit who'd first seen the tattoo found him sitting alone outside, smoking. "You saved his life," he said softly. Harris shrugged. "Old habits die hard." The recruit hesitated. "You used to be one of them, didn't you? A SEAL." For a long moment, Harris said nothing. Then he flicked the cigarette butt away and looked out at the ocean. "Used to be," he finally said. "Before some people decided ghosts don't belong in daylight." The words hit hard. There was something bitter in them, something heavy. The recruit didn't know what to say. The next day, the commanding officer called the recruits to formation. Standing beside him, to everyone's shock, was Harris, no mop, no rag, just his old Navy uniform, crisp and decorated. The trident insignia gleamed against his chest. The CO spoke quietly, his tone uncharacteristically solemn. "Recruits, you've been training in the presence of one of the finest operators this country has ever produced," he said. Master Chief Elijah Harris, former SEAL Team 6, decorated in operations none of you will ever read about. He's been with us under contract for years, helping maintain this facility, and observing. Gasps rippled through the ranks. "Observe what, sir?" one recruit dared to ask. The CO's lips twitched. "Potential," he said simply. "He handpicks those who have what it takes." Every eye turned to Harris. The quiet janitor who'd mopped floors, who'd spoken barely a word, was suddenly someone entirely different. His gaze swept across the lineup, landing on the recruit who'd noticed the tattoo first. There was a flicker of recognition, a small, approving nod. That night, the recruit found a small note slipped under his door. It read, "Meet me at dawn. Pier 4, don't be late." He didn't sleep. When he showed up at the pier, the sun was just breaking the horizon. Harris stood there, silhouetted against the orange light, a duffel bag at his feet. "You wanted to know about the tattoo," Harris said quietly. "It's not about showing off. It's about remembering who you were when the world forgot." Then he tossed the recruit a training knife. "Show me what you've learned." And in that moment, as the waves crashed and seagulls cried overhead, the recruit realized something that every man on that base would come to understand. Sometimes the most dangerous, most legendary warriors don't wear uniforms anymore. They carry mops, keep their heads down, and wait for the right eyes to see the truth behind the silence.